let's start looking ahead to Game 3, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Everyone knows, series tied 1-1. Tass, what are a couple things that you're going to be looking at, watching for in Game 3 as we head in here?
First, can Bron keep this up?
Right.
He is doing so much for this basketball team. I think we sort of take it for granted. The way they come down, they do everything through him. They run everything through him. He's not taking much rest. He played 45 minutes in regulation in this game. He's averaging 48 minutes through these first couple of games. And yeah, he's getting round-the-clock treatment, but you just look at the way he's struggling in the second half and late in games thus far. I'm extremely worried. Only 1 day rest between Game 2 and Game 3 when they had 2 between the first couple games. The second half, he shot 4 of 22. His second half and overtime. He was gassed. I mean, there is no other way to put it. LeBron James shouldn't shoot 4 of 22. You see him kind of hobbling up to the podium. Can he continue to do it? I'm extremely worried about how much rest they get this guy throughout the game, and I think they are too. They rest him for less than a minute in the first half, and then they get him a quick stint midway through the third quarter, and then late in the fourth quarter, they know he's tired. So David Blatt's kind of playing with it. All right, can we get him down in the third quarter, in the middle of it? Okay, let's do that. Right. Let's get him at the end. He's obviously very tired.
Yeah, his usage rate percent, it's like through the roof. I mean, it's you said it. He is doing everything.
Yes.
Everything with this Cavs offensively starts and for most of the time ends with LeBron James.
Right.
And because of the Warriors' depth, will that start to come into play as we move on to Games 3, 4, and 5, especially when we do get the sort of shorter layoff between the games? I think it's a fair question, and of course one to keep watching. Though, man, you see how pumped up he is. Like, this guy wants this so bad. And then if he could pull this off, you then would get into the case of, like, is this one of the greatest sort of individual performances in a team sport in history?
That's a fair question.
But, you know, that's a question for another day, even if they get there, because this is, of course, going to be a long series here still. It's unbelievable what he's doing.
Let's get to one other thing I'm really, really excited about. The Cavs got their first NBA Finals victory on Sunday in franchise history. Obviously, LeBron James is excited about that. I'm very pumped for the city of Cleveland. And LeBron wants to go home just to see how his crowd stacks up against the Oracle Arena crowd.
These fans here are pretty loud. Pretty good. Really good.
And this is the scene from Quicken Loans Arena during Game 2. The arena packed to watch their team take on the Warriors and get their first franchise finals victory. Can they get a finals victory at home Tuesday or Thursday in Games 3 and 4?
Yeah, it's a little different, of course, than 2007 when, you know, they're coming back to Cleveland in that series already down. You know, there is hope, as we said off the top, for Cavs fans and the city of Cleveland, who hasn't had a title in forever, it feels like, to get, you know, to actually possibly pull this up. Still a lot of basketball still to be played, but it's amazing they're 1-1. It really is. One thing I'm watching for going into Game 3, it's the reigning MVP, and it's Steph Curry's shot selection specifically. I do agree with you. Dellavedova played some small part. He was really aggressive with him, was great at fighting through screens, trying to stick to him, but it was just Curry having one of those weird nights a lot of the time. Sometimes it was just because it was at the end of the shot clock and he had to throw it up too. Let's point that out. He goes 5 of 23. It's the third worst field goal percentage by a reigning MVP in NBA Finals history. It's wild. Again, this is a guy that we really do think could be the greatest shooter ever, and he's throwing up air balls in close situations at the end of a game. But let's not forget, back to the Grizzlies series. I know we keep bringing it up. Games 2 and 3, games they lose in that series. Curry was 15 of 40 from the floor. He was on a cold shooting streak, and it was because, I'll give credit where credit's due, Tony Allen and the Grizzlies defense. But in Game 4, he came up with a little different mindset, and it was to attack a little bit more. It wasn't just to settle for 3 after 3 after 3. It helped when he got an easy one and got the dunk in transition, but he was using the pick and just getting in there a little bit. You know, it doesn't have to be a 3. I know you're the best probably ever at it every time. And I think that's something to watch for going into this, if Curry keeps that in mind, because he also, as the shots went on and miss went on and on in Game 2, he was sort of like, again, this next one's got to go in. This next 3 I chuck up has got to go in. But it wasn't. So I think he'll at least be a little more aggressive, trying to get to the free throw line, trying to get to the wing a little bit inside. You know, he's money from 2 just as much as he is from 3.
Oh, of course.
Especially when he's got that little floater going, which we haven't seen a whole lot from.
And he shot 10 of 20 in Game 1, shot 50%. but he didn't do a lot of damage from the three-point line. So, yeah, he can do damage anywhere on the floor. It's just odd to see him a touch off balance. And I think that's where, a lot of the misses came from. Delly worked hard, but Curry wasn't himself. And he knows that. He's going to watch that tape, and he knows that, all right, I just wasn't right. For him to say, the best shooter in the world, to say, I knew that ball wasn't going in when it left my fingertips, that doesn't sound like the best shooter in the world. That sounds like me or you shooting the basketball.
Hey,
that does not sound like Curry.
Money from Tristan Thompson, too, on those pick and rolls, because Curry involved in them, of course. They bring them big. He does a great job of stringing out Curry as much as possible.
And that's why Mozgov doesn't play.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Tristan can do that, but there were times in game 2 where Curry would see Tristan, and it looked like there was a window where he could drive, and he would sort of settle for the little step back and then shoot the 3. I think in game 3, he attacks that a lot more aggressively. I think he'll come off those picks, and he'll go at Tristan.
That also happened with the Grizzlies. There was a couple sequences where he didn't go at Marc Gasol.